Thank you, Shon. Thank you for everyone at Icon Coaching.
Simon, congratulations, man. You know what that is?
That's winning.
It's winning, baby. I love it when you're winning. That's fantastic.
I got 2 under contract, so that's like 2.8 million in 2 weeks.
You've got to take control of your production to make sure that you're making more money, your bank account balance is rising, that your net worth is increasing, and that's what we want to see happen.
So that they can save the listing.
Which I'm really, really thankful for, Shon. Thank you.
See everyone coming on board. Welcome to Icon Coaching's webinar.
What do you do? Hey, you just roll with it. Just like in real estate sales, things don't always go your way. I totally get it. One thing I love about real estate, though, gang, is a very calm and very predictable business, isn't it? No, of course not. Of course, we get curveballs every single day. And I'm here to tell you that the struggle right now is real. Gang, 71% of agents did not sell a single house over the course of the last 12 months. So what are you doing about that? And I trust you're here because of that reason, because you want to equip yourself with the right knowledge, skills, mindset, and habits to get out there and crush it in 2025. Now, Icon Coaching is a resource for you guys. These webinars we do every single week are 100% free. I would encourage you to invite your team members, the agents associated with your brokerage. Maybe you're with a company that has a rev share opportunity. Invite your rev share organization, encourage them to invite other agents to engage as well. And today, you guys, we're talking about a major problem that exists in real estate today. And that is inventory is up in all 50 US states, and average list price to sales price ratio is declining in all 50 US states. So listings are sitting on the market and agents are scratching their head saying, geez, well, what can I do to get this listing sold? Well, we know that there's only one reason a listing doesn't sell. It's overpriced. Guys, I've sold turds that back up to an 8-lane highway, and we sold them because we priced them appropriately. At the same time, though, there are some things that we can do to curb the trepidation that the buyers have today, to increase the enthusiasm by offering them a lower mortgage rate than they can find anywhere else. And my good friend Ryan over at More Seller Financing has come up with a strategy, a game plan that legally allows you to offer your listings to any buyer out there at a 4.99% annual interest rate. Guys, that is huge. I mean, if they're looking at a property where they could get a 6 or 6.5% interest rates versus yours at 4.99, that impacts their payment in a powerful way. There's no doubt about that. So Ryan is here to just pour into you guys today to just add value every which way that he can. And at the end of the webinar, you're going to see how easy it is to engage with More Seller Financing, to advertise your listings at a 4.99% interest rates, increase the number of showings, increase the number of buyer leads that you're getting because you get to advertise that. Of course, if they could call one realtor that they get a 6.5 or 7% interest rate with, or call you at 4.99, who are they going to call? Of course, they're going to call you. And when you use and leverage my 7-step conversion formula, guys, that works, which you can download for free at iconcoaching.com. Now, real quick, everybody do me a favor and just type into the chat, where are you located? We're curious. Where are you located today? All right, here we go. Ooh, quite a few people in Vegas already. I love it. Indianapolis, Washington State, New Hampshire. Come on, keep them coming, guys. Naples, got Tucson. God, I love Naples. Marco Island, wow. Riverside, Atlanta. I'm not seeing anybody in Texas yet. Oh, there we go. McKinney, Texas. Fantastic. David, welcome. The reason I bring up Texas, guys, we are bringing Sales Surge live to Dallas in 4 major markets. We're going to San Antonio, Austin, Houston, and Dallas. We're doing that October 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. All you need to do is go to iconcoaching.com, click on the events tab, click on live Sales Surge, and just go ahead and register. Do it right now. In fact, Dave, would you mind just posting in the chat the link that they can register for free? Which, by the way, copy that link, invite everybody within your organizations, respectively. Just invite them to engage in Sales Surge. Again, it's free. They're going to learn about artificial intelligence, how to take AI platforms, marry that to your social media so that you can create content like a madman or madwoman, right? In fact, you'll have 4 posts on every social media channel per day for 30 days in a row, and you can build that inside of 15 minutes during live sales search. We're going to teach you exactly how to do that. Then we're going to show you how to convert the leads that you're undoubtedly generating and get a signed buyer agency contract or listing contract signed every time you want it signed. In fact, I'm going to do a live buyer presentation that I leveraged, guys, to close over 100 buyer sites per year and several $100,000 commission months. So if you'd like to make that happen, I'd encourage you to engage in sales search. And heck, maybe some of you are not in Texas. That's okay. Jump on a plane real quick. Maybe you got some points. Jump on a plane, come out and see us for a half day. It's a 4-hour presentation. You're also going to learn how to legally get 50 basis points or 0.5% of the mortgage amount on every mortgage that you can originate through the Federal Savings Bank, and putting an additional $30, $50, $100,000 in your pocket year over year. So guys, just plug in with us, just like you did today for this free webinar. You're going to do it next week again. And then of course, come to live sales surge if you can. Guys, without any further delay, and thank you for letting me delay, I'm going to invite my friend Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead and turn on your camera, buddy. Introduce yourself to our wonderful audience, these like-minded individuals who want to crush it in real estate. Ryan, what are they going to gain by being here? Go for it.
Absolutely. Shon, thank you so much. Love the energy. And it really is a dynamic time in real estate right now. Sales are down. Buyers are hesitant. Sellers don't know what to do. Agents are going, my only tool is a price drop. Well, what if that wasn't your only tool? More seller financing is here I'm here to talk to you about more seller financing today. And we are bringing back something that was highly successful during the 80s and 90s, which was seller financing and seller financing wraps. You see, right now, during this is the second time in history when sellers have had far below market interest rates than the buyers can get from the banks. I'm going to rewind in history a little bit for you because it's really important about setting the stage, and then I'll jump into our presentation. So interest rates during the 70s were between 7 and 9%. In 1980, interest rates skyrocketed to between 15 and 19%. And ladies and gentlemen, highly qualified home buyers did not go to the banks for the most part in order to get low interest rates. They went directly to the listing agent and to the seller and said, I have the ability to put X amount down. Would you give me an interest rate that's many times the seller had a 7% interest rate. Maybe the buyer's asking for a 10% rate because they can only get a 15 or 16, 17% rate at the bank. So this was called a seller financing transaction or a seller financing wrap. In the 1980s, almost 3 out of 4 transactions was a seller financing transaction or a seller financing wrap. A wrap means the home loan was not paid off, and the seller actually continued doing a seller financing transaction without paying off the transaction. We'll talk about some of the what many would consider to be faux pas and high risk strategies. Well, we have come together at Moore. I've been a lender for 23 years, and what I did is I overlaid the best practices of conventional lending, and I married them with the best practices of seller financing, so that today we can enter into a transaction, a seller financing transaction, where our home buyers and sellers are both protected on both sides with a very clear line of sight on how to refinance or out of the seller financing short-term balloon, or to pay off the seller financing and that seller. So I've created a program that we call More. Shon, any questions before I jump in and get started? Oh, you're on mute, bro.
I did that last week too. Rookie move. No, buddy, I'm just excited to learn from you, and I don't want to take any more time. So it's all yours, bud. Take it away.
Thanks so much. All righty. Okay, so we built a program called More. We rolled this out at the end of 2023. We've been engaged more than 600 times since then, and we've partnered with 2 seller financing law firms that have closed more than 25,000 transactions. I personally have closed more than 4,000 transactions myself and managed more than 40,000 mortgage transactions that have taken place. So again, when I say that we've combined the best practices of both, that's what I'm talking about. And we've come under together under the umbrella that we call More. Nobody's ever complained about getting more. Would your sellers complain about selling their homes 60 days faster? Would they complain about getting somewhere between a 5 and 8% higher sales price? No. How about your buyers? Would they complain about being able to buy more home for less money? No, they wouldn't. So we created more, sell faster, buy smarter, get more. And let's see here. There we go. So what are the benefits of more? The benefits of more is we're going to use the seller's low interest rate to attract more quality buyer leads per listing. Using the more program, you're going to be able to generate about 1.4 more transactions per buyer. What I want each one of you to do is be writing names down as we go through this presentation. So I'm going to ask you real quick, when we're using a seller's low interest rate, so let's say they have a 3% interest rate and we're able to market their home at 4.99 so that we can attract more highly qualified buyers. Do you think that you can get more qualified buyer conversations going if you're able to market a 4.99% interest rate with no additional points? You bet you are. The seller's often going to make more than 20% over just a short 3-year period of time. We generally do these as short-term balloon notes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Today, ladies and gentlemen, this is just going to be an intro class to the program. And you'll see down at the bottom that it says My Listings at moresellerfinancing.com. I'll explain that in just a little bit more. But number 3, you're going to be able to get paid at closing. There's a lot of nuances, rumors out there that, oh, if I do a seller financing transaction, when do I get paid as the agent? You're going to get paid out of the down payment at closing. Number 4, we fully legally protect not only your sellers, your buyers, but we also indemnify the agents as well as the broker owners. And then number 5, which is the best part, is we are an extension of you. Meaning all you need to do is send us the address and we will do the rest. So we'll provide the custom collateral specific to that listing, as well as we have the ability to look up the seller's mortgage data at exactly where it is today. And then we'll be able to give an overview and send that to you as an email. And then my team will give you a call and go over that email with you so that we can explain the high points so that you're comfortable forwarding that email to the seller to engage and see if they're open to marketing seller financing. So I also want to stop here for a moment. The number one thing to do is if you have a listing in mind, send us the address, we will do the rest. And use that email address down at the bottom called mylisting at moresellerfinancing.com. Mention that you came here, you heard about us on the Icon coaching program, and that way we can keep everything tracked on how to best market to you and follow up. Again, my listings at moresellerfinancing.com. All righty, here we go. So who's a good candidate for the More program? How many of you have sellers that have already bought their next home and have a departure residence to sell? They've asked you to market their current home to get it all ready to sell, and they've already bought their next home. These are perfect candidates. As long as these people bought their home before March of 2022, they have a really low interest rate. Matter of fact, 70% of all mortgages that are held in the United States today have an interest rate below 4%. And 40% of all homes today are owned for cash. Both of those are excellent candidates for marketing the More Seller Financing program. Now, one thing I also do want to add in here, just because you're marketing seller financing does not mean the seller has to absolutely offer seller financing to that buyer. We're going to underwrite these buyers and make sure that they're fully approved, make sure that they're putting enough down that makes sense to the seller and the buyer. We're going to make sure that we reduce all the risk in the transaction. Who else are good candidates for the More program? Non-warrantable condos. We have had several condo complexes and listing agents come in using our program and sell a lot of condos in condo complexes. So when a non-warrantable condo interest rate right now is pushing above 8.5% for a 5-year ARM with a minimum of 25% down. So if your seller has a really low interest rate and they're able to, we can market that interest rate, whether it doesn't have to be 4.99, it might be a little bit higher, it might be a little bit lower. Sometimes if the homes are paid off, we'll even market them as low as 3.99 and increase the down payment requirement. So there's lots of different ways that we can put these transactions together so it's a win for your buyer and a win for your seller. But the bottom line is for non-warrantable condos, if your buyers currently are looking at 8.5 plus 9% plus interest rates, and your seller is able to offer a 4.99% interest rate, or approximately around there, man, do you think you're going to be able to generate more qualified buyer leads out of that listing? The answer absolutely should be yes. Sellers that have their homes paid off. I mentioned this just a moment ago. 40% of all sellers have their homes paid off in the United States. And this is a fantastic way for us to create a short-term bridge loan at a very cost-effective way and at a very attractive interest rates for buyers that's going to work for all parties. So let's see here. Next, sellers that have an interest rate below 4% or have 20% or more equity. We were putting a transaction together just the other day where the seller had a 6.375% interest rate, but they had more than 50% equity. And we were able to make this seller have the deal work for them. They were able to get the down payment that they wanted and a significant monthly income per month with a 6.375% interest rate. But it was because they had 50% equity on how we were able to help bring that deal together. Buyers who are interest rate sensitive. How many of you, and I hope you write down a minimum of 3 names when I ask you this question, how many of you over the last 3 years have had buyers tell you, you know what, give me a call when rates are back in the low 5s or even have a 4 in them? I hope, use that chat. Come on, let's hear. How many of you have had, how many buyers do you have that are just sitting there waiting for your phone call for you to tell them that interest rates are back, that you can get them right back in the 4s? Guess what? You don't have to wait anymore. There's tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of sellers today that would love to leverage their current low interest rate and make a little spread on it, and they can make a monthly income. And your buyers don't have to wait anymore. And we'll show you exactly how we can get your buyers pre-approved and then go making offers, and we will help you find those homes that will, where the seller has these really low interest rates. And we can either help the seller come together on a seller financing transaction and or even a traditional transaction. Lastly, let's see here, excuse me, deals that blow up due to closing of minor lending issues. So we had a condo transaction that was doing traditional lending. Just at the 3 days before closing, they found out that the master insurance policy no longer met Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines because they raised the deductible to the insurance policy. And so seller was willing to sell and the buyer was willing to buy, and they were really happy bringing the deal together. They did not know how to put together a seller financing transaction. 9 out of 10 agents have never done a seller financing transaction. So you're not alone. But the ones that figure this out will sell so much real estate. So as Shon mentioned, almost 3 out of 4 agents didn't even sell a property last year. This year, more than 50% of all listings are getting withdrawn. Don't let that be one of your listings. We can put these transactions together when you have a realistic buyer and a realistic seller that are willing to come together. We can bring those transactions together and keep it legal, compliant, and enforceable. We also have a mortgage servicing company that steps in to handle all the payments and the tax forms. And so we look forward to helping you bring these deals together. Here's just a quick example of something what this looks like. So here's one in Austin that one of the sellers recently signed up on. This seller in particular has a really low interest rate. You can see we're not marketing this home at 3.99. This is at a 4.99, we're marketing this one at 3.99. So this $625,000 home is the same monthly mortgage payment as a $456,000 home. Do you have home buyers that are comfortable at $456,000, but they just don't want to go up to the $625,000? They can afford it, they qualify for it, but they're just not comfortable going there? They don't need to wait any longer. We are here to help you find these sellers so that we can bring both buyer and seller together in a win-win circumstance for generally a short-term bridge loan. So what does it look like? This seller in particular had a low interest rate. Their first lien, 30-year amortization, remaining loan amount $282,000, with a 3.625% interest rate and a $1,452 principal and interest payment. With the sales price of $625,000, seller financing is almost always full price. It's most certainly a very highly competitive offer. We let buyers know when they call about the seller financing, when we show you, ladies and gentlemen, how to market this through MLS and market this through email blasts. When the buyer's agent and the buyer, we get them on the phone, we let them know, hey, look, if you plan on beating the seller up really bad on the sales price, they're just going to encourage you to go get a traditional mortgage. But if you're willing to exchange a higher sales price in exchange for a lower interest rate, we can definitely bring that transaction together. So in this circumstance, this seller did not need all of their equity in order to move on. We were able to get them pre-approved on their next home, and the agents get paid, and all the transaction fees come out of this 20% down, or $125,000. We showed this seller how to create and we created a $500,000 loan, our law firms did, for this seller on a 30-year amortization with a 3-year balloon. So these home buyers were interested we were able to create a clear line of sight to our refinance or to have the home paid off inside 3 years. And they offered a 4.99% interest rate. You'll see in our program right here, we collect principal, interest, taxes, insurance, plus the HOA and servicing fee for the home buyer. And so this reduces all the risk for the seller that the property taxes aren't paid. It reduces the risk that the insurance is not paid, or the insurance amount gets reduced to below replacement cost. And then the servicing fee is paid for by the home buyer. So we collect a full principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus HOA if there is one, for these home sellers to reduce all of the risk of the transaction. But check this out. Now the home seller is exchanging. They're getting the $125,000 down, and after they receive the down payment and pay the agents plus title policy, then they're going to actually make a total of $75,000, and $75,33 is what their first payout is going to be. They're going to get paid 3 times during a seller financing transaction. Because what's the other one? Well, they're leaving a little bit of equity in the deal. In exchange, they're going to get monthly cash flow. You can see right here, they're getting $1,229 in monthly cash flow from doing the seller financing transaction. So they get paid at the time of closing. They start at $125,000 down, minus 6% agent commissions. We accounted for 1% of title, and we also make 1% of the sales price. The seller nets $75,000. That second payout, total monthly cash flow. So this is the $1,229 times 3 years equals, this seller made an extra $44,000 in cash flow, and we utilize this money to offset their next mortgage. When the buyer refinances, so we make sure when we pre-approve these home buyers that there is a preferred lender attached to the program. Generally, it can be us or it could be another mortgage company. Then the buyer refinances. This seller is going to get the remainder of their equity that they have in the transaction, plus whatever their current loan has been reduced to. Remember, their current loan at 3.625 is not getting paid off. It is staying in place. And so they're actually building additional equity on their home even after they have sold it. The deed does transfer at the time of the closing. So then when this seller gets paid off at the $216,000, when the refinance takes place or they sell the home, they're going to get paid off $216,740. So Ryan, how much more did I make over that 3-year period of time? Well, you actually made $64,000, almost $65,000 more money in their hand over that 3-year period of time, or 24% more return on your sale. If you currently have a listing that is sitting and is not getting the traction that you would like it to get, send us the address to mylisting@moresellerfinancing.com, and we will take a look at that situation. Or you can go to moresellerfinancing.com/icon, which we'll put in the chat. And then we have a specific icon landing page for everybody here. And so what does it look like when the seller goes to buy their next home? Well, because a lot of sellers will say, Ryan, I need all of my money in order to go afford my next home. That's actually not entirely the case. They just don't understand how leverage works when they leverage their lower interest rate. So again, we're going to show them how to make money on their current 3.625 interest rate. So this seller is selling their current house, and it was $625,000. They're looking to buy a $720,000 home. Now, we're going to show them how to put 20% down. This seller in particular had some money in savings, so they were putting $144,000 down, and they got a traditional loan at $576,000. Their interest rate was a little bit higher. Because we use a portfolio loan program for this. And then what you'll see, so their monthly P&I payments, $38.81. But then when they actually use the cash flow from the seller bridge loan of $1,229, their net monthly payment is usually very, very close to what it would have been had they sold their home traditionally and put all of their money down. So again, when you usually use seller financing, the homes are almost always the sales prices are highly competitive or full price. And these homes are generally sell 45 to 60 days faster. And you're going to get buyers that are very excited about this. Now you'll see that during the seller financing time frame, the equivalent interest rate is not 7.125. It's 7.125 minus $1,229 a month, which gives them an equivalent interest rate for their next home at 3.7%. I'm going to let that sink in. How many of you have had sellers that have said, I feel trapped in my 3.5% mortgage at my current home, in my current listing? I feel completely trapped. You can say, well, what if I was able to give you a program that allowed you to get a similar interest rate on your next home? We can market the program, and either we'll sell your home traditionally or we sell it seller financing. But we're going to open the pool of buyers up significantly because now your home is more affordable. Shon mentioned it earlier. How about this? If your home if let's say there's multiple listings in the neighborhood, do you think this home is going to stand out if it's marketing a below market interest rate? If it's marketing in this case, a 3.99% interest rate, do you think this home's going to stand out compared to all the other homes in the neighborhood? You bet it is. So here's the next part we've got. Well, what about all of the risks, Ryan? You are right. There are some risks that come along with seller financing, and that's why we applied the best practices of conventional lending to the best practices of seller financing. So the big one is, due on sale clause. The risk, it could, when I transfer the deed, it could trigger a full loan repayment. There's a couple of different ways to structure this. In Texas, we have to structure these a little bit differently, but there's also what's called a contract for deed. There's lots of different ways to not have the due on sale clause triggered. And again, our law firms have been doing this for more than 20 years and closed more than 25,000 seller financing wrap transactions, and not one time have they ever had a due on sale clause put in force. What about the seller having credit risk? What happens if the buyers miss payments and they impact the future home purchase? Well, again, more pre-approves. We evaluate that home buyer. We're going to create an additional overlay, which makes sure that that home buyer has additional cash reserves over and above the down payment, in order to help prevent that these buyers are really strong if the seller is going to agree to do a seller financing transaction. We also encourage all of the sellers and make sure they're fully aware that they need to have some dollars set aside. We usually ask them to have 8 months of mortgage payments set aside between 6 and 8 months, so that just in case they need to go through an eviction process. If the buyer does a default, which is credit risk number 3, is the seller stuck chasing the payments? No, the seller's not stuck chasing the payments. And matter of fact, they don't even have to go through a judicial foreclosure process. The buyers sign what's called a deed in lieu of foreclosure at closing, which means that they forego their right to a judicial foreclosure process. And so it's not a foreclosure, it's an eviction, meaning that evictions move much faster, generally somewhere between 30 and 90 days. because after a buyer has missed 2 payments, then the deed in lieu of foreclosure is filed. Buyer is fully aware of this. This is an eyes wide open transaction, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing being held back. Matter of fact, there's like 3 sets of disclosures for each one of these common objections or common risks that they associate to the transaction. And then the legal and compliance, complex laws and no protection. Our team, we ensure that these transactions are legal, compliant, and enforceable on all of these transactions. Again, we have law firms that have closed more than 25,000 of these transactions. They're professionals at this. And again, that's where we're bringing in the best practices of seller financing on exactly how to protect your sellers, the buyers, and you. You'll see this, it says icon at moresellerfinancing.com. There we go, we've got that updated. So send your scenarios to icon at moresellerfinancing.com. What are the sellers and buyers' benefits to the More program? Well, when you're a seller, they get to sell their home faster, generally 60 days faster if you're offering the More Seller Financing program, as well as your seller is going to be able to create income. We're teaching them how to turn that 3% interest rate into a monthly cash flow. This interest rate is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in many cases. Now, our sweet spot is on the higher end of the market. When you start talking to sellers that are above $800,000, they get this type of strategy right away. 800 to 3 million is where a large part of our transactions take place. The sellers get it, the buyers get it, and usually the agents get it. We do these transactions. We've done them as low as $200,000. But this shows sellers how to not lose that 3% interest rate and turn it into monthly cash flow. Also, the buyer is saving a specific amount of money. Buyers are often qualified. The More offers qualified buyers the below market interest rate and payment. Now, they have to be qualified at today's market rate. And I want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. We are not pre-approving people on 3.99 and 4.99% mortgages. That would not be a good idea, because when they do have to go refinance, if interest rates where they currently are today, we would have a buyer and seller that would be stuck together, and that is not the intent of the program, unless they want to be stuck together, which in that case, the seller might say, I don't want to do this for 3 years, I'll do it for 10 years. So there's flexibility in the terms of the interest rate and the term of time, the time frame, in order to bring this transaction together that's going to work for both parties. The result is the buyers pay less and they're able to buy more home for less money. The seller's going to make more, and often is more than 20% more. So if you're a seller, if you've done several price reductions for your seller, this is a way for them to recoup those price reductions. You saw earlier in the slide that this $625,000 home, that seller's going to make an extra almost $65,000. So did that seller actually sell the home for $625,000, or did they sell it for more? Well, if you said more, you would be right, because they would have actually, if you say $625,000 plus the $65,000, that's going to be $690,000 that they actually sold that home for after they got paid off at the end of 3 years. And what's even better, this is a way for you to land more transactions. You should land 1.6 more listings if you're presenting that you have this program as something that you can do. You're sitting at that kitchen table, you're competing for the listing. You want to present confidently that you have a way to draw highly qualified home buyers to the transaction. This is a fantastic way to do it. And we have some best practices on how to market this. Also, how are you going to help get your buyers motivated again to buy houses? What if we told you that they could heart all their properties in MLS, and we can go out and figure out if the seller would be willing to offer a seller financing transaction or not, and how we bring those transactions together if the seller's not open to it? We have the ability to get these buyers motivated again and get them into these homes affordably. So we're here to help you. Why More? Well, we've got proven success. We've been engaged more than 600 times since the end of 2023. We're here to help add more to your current listing marketing strategy so that you can drive more qualified buyer leads. We're here to help you negotiate. We do not negotiate sales price. We are not agents, but we negotiate interest rates and time frame. So we're all through offering the below market rates. We're helping to reduce the focal point on negotiating that sales price. We've been highly successful at our sellers selling for anywhere between 5 and 8% more. And the best part about it is we are an extension of your team. You do not need to learn how to become a seller financing specialist or an expert. We do have a designation that, by the way, that you can take for that, but we provide the turnkey solution. All you need to do is introduce us and then send us the address. We will do the rest. Introduce us to the sellers. We will put you on a Google Meet call that's recorded with your seller, and you're required to be on that call along with the more team representative in order to vet the program, make sure it's a good fit for them, and that they understand that this is marketing first. And then once we have a highly qualified home buyer, then we'll determine how we're going to bring the transaction together, or if offering that buyer seller financing even makes sense. And then if it doesn't make sense, we pivot to a traditional transaction, saying, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as you know, buyers are pretty difficult to come by in today's market. Well, how about we offer some seller concessions to buy down the interest rate so that we can keep this transaction together, since we have a live real-time buyer on the interested in your home. This works for second homes. It works for investment properties. It works for land. It works on all property types. So if you're interested, you can go to icon at moresellerfinancing.com in order to, or my listing at moresellerfinancing.com, either or. And then we say it's the way lending should be. Why do we have to wait on the Fed in order to lower interest rates? Why do we have to go by underwriting guidelines? There are definitely best practices that make a lot of sense, but there are also some underwriting guidelines that don't make sense. And if we can help qualify these home buyers and make sure that they get into a home where they do have a clear line of sight to a refinance in the future, and or a paying the home off. Maybe they're getting inheritance. We have one right now that we're putting together today where the buyer can put more than 25% down, and she has her father passed, and they have 2 homes that are on the market that will net her more than $1 million. She's trying to buy a $700,000 house today and put 25% down, and those homes absolutely are paid. They're paid off and will sell inside the next 2 years. So we're able to bring transactions together. And by the way, there's ways that we can, again, help create pre-approvals when sometimes they don't qualify on our traditional program. So we're here to create win-win solutions for both and all parties, bringing transactions together. Thank you for your time. What we say is you get more money for your home, get more money for your home, and get more home for your money with the MORE program.
Ryan, I absolutely love it, buddy. That was phenomenal. And I'm certain that there are 1,000 questions that these agents have. So here's what I'd encourage you guys to do. Type them into. I'm on my way to the airport. I'm flying out to Denver this afternoon. Yet Rob Daniel, the CEO of Icon Coaching, he's going to run the Q&A. So Rob, if you wouldn't mind, just read the questions that are in the chat to Ryan. Ryan, you go ahead and answer. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week, gang. We do this every Tuesday. And if you find yourself in a position that maybe you want a little help, just reach out to us directly. My direct cell phone number, guys, write it down real quick, is 720-341-4877. Drop me a text. Let's get on a free half-hour coaching session. Guys, no stress, no pressure, no closing strategy or anything cheesy like that. Just 30 minutes of your time to find a profound sense of clarity, knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, who's going to do it with you or for you. I'll help you install the right strategies, the right tactics to help you double, triple, maybe even quadruple your production this year. So gang, just 720-341-4876. Drop me a text and definitely reach out to Ryan. Guys, if nothing else, you're going to generate a ton of buyer leads. Many of these buyers have a house they need to sell. Why not? It's just a great hook in today's marketing world. Rob, if you don't mind, take on
over. All
right,
Sean, enjoy your trip.
So much.
Be safe and enjoy your trip. Ryan, I mean, it looks like there is one question. And by the way, it looks like most of these questions have been answered by, Ethan, and he's doing a great job, man, just answering the questions as they were coming in. Ryan, what if I want to do my own sub to purchases? Same process?
Yeah, it's going to be the same process. Once we get you pre-approved, we'll be able to help you tackle these. And by the way, I do want to introduce Ethan. Thanks, Rob, for mentioning that. Ethan is our lead seller consultant. He runs our entire sales team. So you will be working with him and his team. But yes, we can help you. We help a lot of agents. By the way, agents are really difficult to qualify for a traditional mortgage. So we will help a lot of agents purchase their primary residence or in second home or investment property using our program.
This is unbelievable, this program. I mean, I've never seen it. And, you know, to see it's another option, alternative way of looking at how to get houses taken care of and what to look at. And by the way, we need these. I mean, we need creative things these days. And Ryan and Ethan has certainly figured out how to create something different than what everybody else is doing out here. And I like that, because y'all, you know, to be very successful, everybody, and I'm hoping that you'll put some of your questions over there while I'm chatting for just about 1 minute. You know, what I have realized in being successful in this business is watching what everybody else does and do something different. Because a lot of times what everybody else is doing is they're not making the money or not selling the houses or not doing the things that they need to be doing. And Ryan has figured out how to do something a little bit different. So you got to reach out to him. You've got to send him your listings. I saw a QR code in there somewhere. I hope you guys were getting those QR codes, and we like QR codes. It just seems like that's the deal, right? What is the best practices, Ryan, for marketing this to attract buyers and sellers?
Yeah, so the best practice is, thanks so much, Rob, for asking that. We have you, so here's what we realized the difficult way. So we've got a full team behind us. It took more than 16 people to put this program together, and 3 highly specialized law firms and a ton of money. So we figured out the hard way exactly how to best market these. If you're just going to stick it in MLS and think that it's going to sell, it has not had the success. So the other 4 best practices are: A, not only you're going to update it in MLS and update the agent remarks, but B, you're going to do a blast out to the agent MLS database, because buyer's agents are not obviously reading on what's going online in MLS. So you've got to go ahead and send them the flyer blast announcing that your seller is offering seller financing at this interest rate, and this is the equivalent purchase price. Saying, do you have any buyers that would like to buy a $625,000 home for the same monthly payment as $435,000? And then number 3, blast your buyer's agents, your buyer's database. Somebody knows somebody that would like to buy a $625,000 home for the same monthly payment as $435,000. I can assure you. Number 4, add us to do a social media post, tag more seller financing. We are then putting ad spend behind it to get a minimum of 10,000 impressions. So far, we're generating somewhere between 7 and 13 leads per listing, just depending on where it is in the country, on social media specifically. And we do it just in your zip code, and then we hand those leads back to you. Number 5, I can't count today. Number 5, get a seller financing rider sign. Make sure that your rider on your sign says seller financing available. You wouldn't believe how many people are driving around and go, holy smokes, I can't qualify right now, but I sure can. I would love to do this. I know I've got cash. I just got declined because I'm contingent, whatever this looks like. I just was earlier talking to somebody on a $6.5 million home in Destin, Florida. They've got a $7 million home that they're going to be selling down the street, and they want to buy this $6.5 million home. They didn't qualify with both mortgage payments, but they have a ton of cash, and we can utilize some asset depletion and asset utilization in order for the pre-approval. And this gentleman is looking to put $3 million down. So there's ways that we can bring these deals together. They work in almost every price point. You just have to get good at introducing us. I was talking to a gentleman, I just got back from the M in San Diego, and he was in his early 60s, and he said, Ryan, I've been waiting for somebody to come out in this program. He said, the only way I survived was by doing seller financing wraps in the 80s. He said, everybody else went out of business, and I made more money than I can handle. And truly, if you talk to any agents that have been in the business and selling real estate in the 80s, for sure, in the 80s and the 90s, when I talked to Diana Kokoszka, she was like, this is the only way that we did this. We sold wraps. Gary Keller, 2008, he was on stage talking about seller financing wraps and how it can change all of the landscape for lending. So we have some of the top offices in the country signing up, all the way from Compass corporates looking at it. We've got several MLSs. We have one MLS that has signed up out of Florida. We've got several Keller Williams offices that have signed up, and it's proliferating. Even EXP Luxury signed up with us recently, and we went through an entire background check of what that work looks like to work with a publicly traded company. So hop on board. It's an incredible strategy, not only for your sellers, but for your buyers as well, to get them off the fence.
Hey guys, I want to tell you something that Shon Kokoszka is offering right now. This kind of goes a little bit, stick with me for just a moment on the listing part here. Put Shon's number in there one more time, Day. Shon says text him because he wants to talk to you about how to list 5 houses in the next 5 weeks. Shon listed 162 houses out of 164 in 1 year. Guys, all you got to do, this is a free call. Now, this ties in with what, I mean, and I'm sure that Shon's going to be talking about Ryan's program, how to be able to get 5 listings in just 5 weeks. Guys, please, I tell you, put a text, flood Shon with texting right now. Do it right now before you forget, and go ahead and get that free coaching call from somebody that, number one, listed 162 out of 164 houses and sold 100 houses a year, every year. And so again, and this ties right into this program because again, you can offer this. I love what Ryan said too. And I know we've got to go here because we've kept you for a while. You know, I've been in this business for almost 38 years, Ryan. I know I don't look that old, but I just turned 70 Saturday. And, wow. And here's the thing. Signs are free advertisement. I heard you say put a rider on there. I think we have forgot that. I know when I sold real estate back in the 90s, I used the signs for just free advertisement all over the place. Okay. And I just got to say, I think that we are underutilizing the sign to be able to advertise things for the house. And being able to do what you said about seller financing, that type of thing, I think we got to utilize that sign. Thank you guys for the happy birthday. And yes, Susan Cook, good to hear from you again and see you. They know me, a lot of these people know me, Ryan, because I was a bowl coach for Keller Williams for about 10, 11 years. And so I was all over the place seeing these people. Well,
I was one of your students, Rob.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, listen, any last minute thoughts? I mean, I hope you guys are maybe 55. Yes, I'm with you, Tyler. Thank you. I feel 55, 45. Any last minute thoughts, Ryan, before we head out of here?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Rob, for giving me that opportunity. So here's the 2 things that I'll say. One, if you, just because you wouldn't do seller financing, don't prevent that from you offering it to your seller. I have a lot of agents go, I would never do seller financing. Well, remember, your risk tolerance isn't your seller's. Number 2, we have to take all the risk out of this. Not all, you can never remove 100%. But number 2, this is marketing seller financing. Nobody's committing to do seller financing until they have a qualified buyer that meets their needs. No different. If you market a home for $1 million, are you guaranteeing somebody that you're going to sell $1 million? No. If you're marketing seller financing, are you guaranteed to offer seller financing? No. So we do this with good faith that sellers will, with a highly qualified home buyer, that they will offer seller financing. But remember, this is marketing first. Don't let these listings expire on you, because that is money for you to convert and have another tool other than a price drop to not only win more listings, but also sell more listings at a higher price. Because I think the number one thing, the worst thing an agent can do is not have a really good marketing plan. Their sign sits in the yard forever, and all they told the entire neighborhood around them was, I don't know how to sell or market a home. So don't let that be you. Make sure that you're proactive and make sure that you get that listing sold inside your listing time frame. And we're going to help you do it. Send us the address. We do the rest. We're here to help you. and you'll hear from also Shon how he incorporates it into your listing strategy.
One last thing, Ethan. And Day, I don't know if you could do this. I think, Ethan, that last one, at least that last one that you put on there, and it might have been just sent to the host and panelists, but you just answered the host and panelists. Was that okay? I mean, you said, Todd, send us the address and we'll put together. It was sent to the host and panelist.
Thank you, Rob, for catching that. I'll send that. I'm going to recopy those and send them back out to everybody.
Yeah, send it to everyone so that everybody can get that. I want everybody to make sure they get that. Again, I want to thank you, Ryan and Ethan. I thank both of you for being here. This is awesome, man. Somebody said that on here with this, express offers, things like that. Just giving sellers the option. And I love what you said. If somebody sits there and says, well, I would never do it, so I'm not going to give it. I've always said this. You know why people, Ryan, doesn't like to door knock? Because they don't like to be door knocked. And you cannot put your belief on everybody else out there. And so don't think that many of these sellers wouldn't love to at least have the option. And if you go in for a listing presentation and you give this option, you never know. They may not take it, but they may still give you the listing for at least giving them the option that nobody else has given them. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Bingo.
So
you're showing that you're creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So everybody, thank you so much. Like I said, you don't want to miss this free coaching with Shon Kokoszka to getting 5 listings in 5 weeks and hear what he has to say and hook it in to what Ryan is doing. So listen, everybody, have a wonderful day. Yes, Day, that's right. We have a live event. If you're from Texas or if you want to fly in and be looking for this in October 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, we're going to be in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston live, not on Zoom, live. And so you don't want to miss that. Be looking for it and sign up today. It's free. It's absolutely free. And it's going to be exciting. Ryan, I hope maybe you could join us, one of those.
Well, actually, I'm one of the speakers. So absolutely. By the way, we're in all 50 states as well. So I do want to say that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day and see you soon, Ryan.